Welcome back to the show, special edition, as we celebrate International Women's Day. And off the top, I mentioned this, but I'll just remind everyone that Mayor Mark Sutcliffe, just a few moments before we came to air, proclaimed the month of March 2023 here in the city of Ottawa, Woman, Life and Freedom Month, which is a great segue to introduce you to my next guest, because she is a full professor of ethics, human rights and mathematics education with Woman, Life, Freedom Organization. Welcome, Yasmine. Great to have you here. Really appreciate it. So let's talk about the organization. First of all, tell us a little bit about the history behind the organization.
Well, the organization is very recent. It started, I think, November 2022, following the uprising of Iranian people due to the death of Mahsa Amini. So the history is the rally. So it's not a very old organization, quite young actually. Yes.
Yeah, and we've heard the stories of the alleged poisoning, right? Of I think it's about 1,000 Iranian schoolgirls. Yes. When you hear something like that, what goes through your mind? I mean, it just doesn't seem possible in 2023 that this is happening.
That is right. Well, it is frustrating. It is hurtful. But it's the most recent phenomena of what have been the practices for 40 years. So the current government of Iran is not very, very unfamiliar to these kind of practices. They have been doing this for such a long time. It's just now that it's open out in the public. It is unfortunate, and I think, it's I have to go back a little because it is now a recent event of a following 5-6 months of rally and uprising and a sort of a Woman Life revolution that started in Iran, as I said, in fall of 2022, when a girl, 22-year-old girl, wasn't properly hijabbed based on the view of the morality police, and it was killed in the custody. So that led to women uprising, girls saying we're not going to wear hijab anymore, and then men being allies and support of women for months and months, but then always faced by guns, basically.
Yeah.
Violence.
You mentioned this is a long history of oppression. Yes. For those that aren't familiar with what's been happening with this particular government over 40 years here, we're seeing some of it now, and it's getting media attention. But what about some of those things that haven't been getting media attention over the last 40 years?
Well, unfortunate, but we are happy that now we're getting the media attention, because that would lead to more of an international communities such as UNESCO, World Health Organization, definitely for the poisoning. I think I was reading a clip that similar poisoning happened in Taliban's time in Afghanistan because of segregating women from, especially schoolgirls, from going to schools and fearing the parents. I think we have a saying in Iran that says, whenever you get the fish from the river, it's fresh. And it corresponds to this, that when is awareness, then responsibilities would follow, then people would not stay silenced and it would go on. And that's our hope. Yeah,
and the responsibility of men being allies in this fight, that is something I don't think we've seen a lot of over the last 40 years, perhaps because the government, the repercussions of that. Absolutely. So certainly encouraging to see, finally, and mostly from just observing from the outside, it's been young men that have stepped up as being allies. Do you see any change? Are you encouraged that any change will come from this at all?
I do see changes in the fact that young Iranian, like young people that I teach, they are more fearless. Yeah. They are courageous, much more than I think I was when they were their age. And when they say, I don't get this, I don't accept this anymore, I think then they stand by it. So I do see that as a very positive thing in Iran and in other places. Also the role of social media the way it connects the youth in Iran and us with them, despite of, I don't know, despite of all the internet sanctions and cuts and things that are going on in Iran, all the time they find ways to communicate with each other and outside world. And I see that as positive, although there are layers and layers of politics.
Of course.
Of world politics.
Well, I was going to ask you about that, but that brings me to my next question. What is the responsibility of the rest of the world, and what do you think the responsibility is of Canada's involvement in what we see happening? Because I don't see the government has done, much other than, the symbolic, saying that, this is a horrible, tragic, horrific situation. What more should the rest of the world, and Canada in particular, be doing?
Well, I think one of the things that Women Life Freedom Organization asked from the beginning is to put the morality police, Islamic morality police of Iran in a list of terrorists, so they would be treated as terrorists. That's an important step. And also International Court of Justice to be involved and UNESCO to be involved.
Right.
Those kind of United Nations organizations to give it a legal status that this is a crime against humanity and go from that point.
Yasmine, there is a rally coming up, right,
Yes.
on Saturday against this mass poisoning, alleged. I mean, people are still saying that, but I think from everything that all the information that we've gathered, that we can pretty much say that this is happening. How can people get involved in the rally coming up Saturday?
There would be flyers. There is a website, woman.life.freedom/Ottawa.
Okay.
So all the information would be there, a little bit about the history, events that are coming up, and especially about the poisoning.
Yeah.
That, yes, there would be a rally.
Yasmine, really appreciate your time today.
Thank you so
very
much.
much. Again,
Thanks for
that rally is happening on Saturday, March the 11th. As Yasmine said, you can find out more information online. We'll be back with more Daytime Ottawa right after this. Don't go anywhere.